Every time I see y'all, you got the silk shirts on, jewelry, looking real Miami. Welcome to Primary Technology, the show about the tech news that matters. Big week. TikTok was banned for 16 hours, and then it came back. Lots of news between them and what Trump is doing with executive orders. Plus, iOS 18.3 will be coming out soon. I put the release candidate on my phone because Visual Intelligence got a big upgrade, but Apple Intelligence is going to be hoisted on a bunch of people. Samsung Unpacked with their Galaxy S25. Netflix is raising prices again, and more. This episode is brought to you by HelloFresh and you, the members who support us directly. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Robles, and joining me, as always, my friend Jason Aten, who is literally freezing right now. Jason, what was the temperature yesterday as we're recording?
But I'm not freezing right now. It was super freezing. I mean, it's like 19 to 20 degrees today. But that is 35 degrees warmer than it was yesterday. And people don't think about so it was like negative 15 or so yesterday. And people think the difference between, 20 degrees Fahrenheit versus negative 15 degrees Fahrenheit, they're both cold, right? But that is the difference between 45 degrees and 80 degrees. Think about that for a minute. Like that temperature difference is like pretty substantial. And that's the difference between yesterday. It was so cold in here, I couldn't work in my office yesterday, because the floor is not insulated well enough that it was like I was sitting on an ice rink. So,
that is crazy. I have not experienced those temperatures in a while. I'm down in Miami, which is why I'm in a different recording environment. It was cold here too, but like 50, not in the negatives. Now, I think there's a 0% chance you're going to get the quote, but I had to pull a quote about Miami because that's where I am right now. And do you have any idea where that came from?
I have no idea where it came from because I'm almost 100% sure that it did not come from a movie I've ever seen.
Right.
But if I had to guess, it feels like it's got to be something like Fast and the Furious-ish or something like that. I don't know. I have no idea.
Jason, I don't know how you did that. That quote is from Too Fast, Too Furious.
Definitely a movie I've never seen, just to be honest.
That is amazing. I was so hoping you were going to say Fast and Furious. Wow. There you go. You did it. I'm in Miami, by the way, because I got a special invite to tour their new Apple store here in Miami, Worldcenter. And so I have a video up on my channel, and I'm going to talk about it in the bonus episode because there's behind the scenes that I want to talk about. And, I don't know how many behind the scenes is okay to talk about. So anyway, there's a video up on my channel. I got to tour it. It's a beautiful new store. There's literally a garden on the roof, which is wild. And I learned a new word. Jason, tell me if you ever heard the word biophilic. Have you ever heard that word?
No. I mean, I heard you say it on the video, and that's it. I've never heard it before.
I've never heard that word before. Biophilic with PHILIC, apparently. But it means architecture that's designed with the harmony with environment and buildings and stuff. So, yeah, biophilic. It's a biophilic building. So there you go. That's going to be our new tagline: a biophilic podcast.
That is not a homophone. Is that when you say a word that sounds like what it means? That I don't even know what that word sounds like. Biophilic. It sounds it's like probiotic. It's like a thing you would eat to try to ward off cancer or something.
It does sound like probiotic. You got the homonyms, never mind. All right. Anyway, we got one 5-star review shout out. Bluey HK from the UK. Battery percentage on points to Jason. Blue dots on though points to me. Pencil facing down, which I don't know
one that
if
matters.
Bluey HK knows, but you can. I think that means your orientation. But you can hold an iPad in various orientations. I'm just saying. So anyway, we have to talk about TikTok. It's been a wild roller coaster of a week for a variety of reasons. But last Saturday, it was Saturday night, the TikTok ban was supposed to go into effect Sunday, January 19th. And come Saturday night, it was 10:30. I was literally watching TikToks with my family because I saved funny ones to show the family. And pretty soon, one time I went to open it, and Saturday night, boom, it says, sorry, TikTok isn't available right now. And this message popped up on everyone's devices here in the U.S. if they tried to open TikTok Saturday evening. Now, it was interesting. Part of this message was, we are fortunate that President Trump has indicated that he will work with us on a solution to reinstate TikTok once he takes office. Please stay tuned. Now, an important point, I think, of this message. The ban was supposed to go in the 19th. Apple and Google removed it from their app stores, which it is still not there. You can't download TikTok if you've never downloaded it before, or if you upgrade your iPhone, you can't download TikTok right now. It's not in the Apple Store, App Store, or Google Play Store. But this part was clearly done by TikTok themselves. I mean, that's fair to say. Like this, like shutting down the app for those in the U.S. Saturday night, that was not some U.S. government imposition. That was TikTok basically shutting it down, right?
Yeah, and they were doing it just to make people mad. Literally the only reason for them to do it at that point, because the law had not gone into effect and nobody had shut off any of their services at that point.
Right. And we had talked about the possibility of, well, once it goes into effect, it might still be that the app functions. It just might be like an unupdated app, like on an old iPad or iPhone. It just would slowly stop working over time. But that wasn't the case. TikTok preemptively, which they said, we talked about last week, they were going to take it down if the ban wasn't delayed by the Supreme Court. So then Sunday, like 16 hours later, I believe, Sunday afternoon, everyone says TikTok is back. And there's a message here. Thanks for your patience. As a result of President Trump's efforts, TikTok is back in the U.S. You continue to create, share, and discover all the things you love on TikTok. Two things are interesting here. Number one, this happened on Sunday, January 19th. Trump was not president yet. He got inaugurated January 20th. So TikTok saying President Trump did something, even though he's not president yet. That is a very curious message to see on TikTok. And come Monday, once Trump was inaugurated, he did sign, I think the total was 18,000 executive orders. That's not the actual number, but he signed a lot of executive orders. It's close to that. But one of the things that he signed was one of his executive orders was delaying the enforcement of the ban, which the language gets really dicey when you see some of these headlines or even hearing how Trump might talk about this. He did not reverse the ban or change the law. The executive order delayed enforcement of the ban for 75 days. And so there's 75 days where this issue will be revisited, or it could be revisited earlier, and we'll have to see what may or may not change then. But right now, TikTok, if you had it on your phone, you can use it like normal. CapCut, which took longer to come back, you can use CapCut again. And that was interesting. I had a lot of people reach out not realizing CapCut was TikTok, like that CapCut was made by TikTok, is owned by the same company. And people were like, I had projects I was editing. I had like, how do I get these back? And I'm like, I'm sorry, you can't. You just have to wait, I guess, to see what happens. But there's that. And I want to hear your thoughts in a second, because this is just wild. Apple has an article on their website, a support article talking about the availability of TikTok and apps by ByteDance, which also included Marvel Snap, apparently. I had no idea.
Yeah, they were the publisher.
So
one of their companies was the publisher of Marvel Snap.
Right, exactly. So that's interesting. But notably, again, even now, we're almost a week later, Apple is not going to reinstate these apps into the App Store, so you're not going to be able to download them. And again, they make it clear, like in this article, and I'll put all the links to these in the show notes, it's that it is unknown what will happen law-wise, what will change or go backwards or whatever. So Apple's just like, we're not putting them in the App Store until like we find out what's going on. So that's all that happened. I find this to be such a bizarre timeline. Those messages that the TikTok app showed users, I mean, just so strange. Obviously, Trump must have spoken to ByteDance or the CEO or something. I don't know, Jason. Tell me, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, the CEO of TikTok was at the inauguration the next day, I guess. So maybe they were making plans and they just sort of had this.
Right.
This is weird. I just want to say we were right that it was the ban was going to stay into effect. That was yes. We were right about that. Listen, this whole thing is just a circus. But anyone who's surprised that the Supreme Court upheld the law that Congress passed is just not paying close enough attention, because I mean, you can disagree, and at least half of the people in this country disagree with most of the things that the Supreme Court does, one way or the other, right? That's fair. You can disagree with them. They do actually take their job pretty seriously, and they do not care about who's coming to the inauguration. Like, so this kind of thing, like that was the least surprising part of the whole thing, is that the Supreme Court upheld the law. Trump's executive order, weird. It's in the law there is a provision that if a sale is in progress, that the president can delay this for 90 days. But that is not what President Trump triggered. President Trump just signed an executive order telling the Justice Department, don't enforce the law against any of the entities. By the way, those entities are Apple, Google, Oracle, Acme, I think is the CDN. Like, that's who we're talking about here. It's not TikTok or ByteDance. Like, that's not, they're not subject to any penalties because they just exist. And it's the other organization, other companies that could be penalized under this. But you notice, importantly, Oracle clearly is serving up TikTok again, right? So they're like, cool, we'll just take Trump's word for it. Who's not? Apple and Google, they're not playing games. They're not like, your magic words with a pen make me feel better about this whole situation. They're like, no, there's a law and the fines are huge for them if they were to not comply with it. And the only way to get around this at some point is to change this law. And I don't think, even as favorable as the House of Representatives is going to be to Trump, that they're going to overturn this law, because they for real meant it when they said this is a national security threat. And I don't even think so. What's going to be the most interesting, not that this is not a politics podcast, but for 1 second, just entertain to yourself, it's going to be real interesting to watch. Does Trump really want to push this if the Republicans in the House of Representatives and in the Senate are not going to be behind him? Like, that could be a really interesting dynamic that we've really never seen in a Trump presidency before. And because the Speaker of the House was like, this is a law. You can't just wave away a law just by like magic words or whatever. So the flip side of that is, if Trump just decides they're not going to enforce this law, can anyone do anything about that? Right? Because theoretically, Congress would be the only people who could say, we passed a law, you have to enforce it. And just as I said that Congress doesn't seem inclined that they would want to change their mind about it, I don't know that extends to the point where they would sue the executive branch to enforce it. So my point is, it's still banned, and we have no idea what's going to happen, Stephen. I downloaded TikTok to my phone on Saturday just so that I could see all the messages because people were posting about them, and it was so ridiculous. And I was actually somewhat glad that I did, only because my high school age daughter was telling me about all day on Friday, was like, people are just freaking out. Like, this is going to get banned. What's going to happen after the Supreme Court declined to overturn the thing? And she's like, people are going crazy about this. And my kids don't even have TikTok, at least that I know of. But several of her friends deleted TikTok when on Saturday when it went dark, and then they couldn't get it back, and now they're even more angry.
Well, and yeah, I mean, if someone upgrade your phone, upgrade your iPad if you have it installed there, like, you can't get it either. This is so bizarre. I've heard and seen reports of like maybe TikTok will sell a percentage ownership to a U.S. company or person. I've seen the name Elon Musk thrown around. I don't know the viability or possibility of that. Is that even a thing that could happen? I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but when it comes to like anti-competitive behavior, the DOJ here in the States already has an eye on Meta and Google, wanting to break up Google. They've already sued Apple. That case is pending. And so, I mean, I can't imagine they would allow TikTok, this massive social media network, to be sold, even in part, to another social media network owner. Is that even possible?
I don't. Possible. Is anything possible? The law does not say that the U.S. government, if the U.S. government owns 50%, then it's cool. That's not what the law says. The law says that it has to be divested of. It cannot be owned by a Chinese company. So, like, what does that really mean? I don't know. Like, if the U.S. owns 50%, like, again, the question is, who can enforce this? The people who can enforce right now, the person in charge of the people who will enforce this is the guy who's like, let's make a deal. And that is an important thing to understand, is that we talked about this before. This is just going to be very transactional. Like, what kind of a deal can we make? And I think more than the principle, again, I don't say this in a good way or a bad way about President Trump, more than the principle of the thing, because remember, all of this started because he wanted to ban it, 6 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
I think more than the principle, what he really wants is is the deal. He enjoys the being in the position where he holds other people's fate in his hands, and he gets to use that in order to make a deal. So, do I think? Listen, I think that the most likely outcome to this, the most likely outcome is that eventually TikTok just has to go away. It's not because I don't think China wants to give up control. I think that's the most likely outcome. I think a second close one is that an American tech company will buy TikTok, or that a group of investors will buy it, because they seem to be coming out of the woodwork to buy TikTok, right? Like they seem to be everywhere. They're just random guys walking on Washington D.C. streets right now, like waving dollar bills at the White House, like I want to buy TikTok. I want to buy TikTok.
ready to write a check.
Yep.
It is so bizarre. The last thing I'll say, last episode, you I think eloquently talked about the transactional nature of this administration. I cannot get it out of my head. And as I saw those messages on TikTok Saturday when it went dark and talking about we're working with Trump, and then Sunday when it came back saying thanks Trump, exclamation point. It just the idea of transactional was strong. It was strong with this one. Anyway, The last hilarious thing out of this was CapCut. Everybody freaking out because they couldn't access CapCut. Meta over here.
Oh my gosh.
The Instagram announced, didn't release, this is not an app you could download, but they announced Edits, an Instagram app. Hilarious. They're saying it's expected March 13th, which is my birthday, by the way. You can get me the Edits app for my birthday.
I got
thank
you.
It's so funny. After last week's conversation, literally the two of us last week talking about Mark Zuckerberg calling out Apple for not being innovative and not inventing anything, Meta is over here literally Command-C'ing, Command-V'ing an Edits app to capitalize on CapCut's being going dark. This is just hilarious.
Yeah, when you just think of Mark Zuckerberg's philosophy of resource allocation, it's literally look around at the biggest dumpster fire and figure out how quickly can we make a dumpster that's not on fire. Like that's literally like his entire strategy. But I will tell you, like CapCut, its killer feature, you can disagree with me if you want, but in my mind, its killer feature is it is better than any other app, including Final Cut, Premiere, whatever, at taking a horizontal video and making it a vertical video while following the subject. It does that better than just about anything. And so if Edits, whatever Instagram's Edits app will do that, then fine. I am platform agnostic. I don't really care. I just want one thing that will do that for me, because Final Cut will, like, there's a convoluted way you can do it, but the tracking is just not nearly as good. That is like the kill. And it makes sense that TikTok would have an app that does that better than anyone, because there's a lot of horizontal video out in the world. And none of it works on TikTok, right? Like, and so anyway, We'll see.
They're motivated to make it. And I also thought I saw Wesley Hilliard writing in Apple Insider, and John Gruber linked to his article, being like, Apple Clips, that is a thing and used to be a thing. And it's like, yeah, Apple released that at the perfect time, but made like the worst app for that. Like they if they would have like made that actually a great app, but again, like it's not tied to an ecosystem or social media platform that they own, so maybe it's not like direct benefit, but they made a thing. I think you can still download the Clips app.
Did they ever talk about it once? I have never heard a person with an apple.com email address talk about the Clips app. Not one time.
I'm actually wondering right now. I'm going to the App Store. I'm searching for Clips. I feel like one of the weirdest things was like it was square by default. Like wanted things to be square.
I do have.
Oh yeah, here we go. I have it here. Let's see. When was the last time it was updated? It was updated 8 months ago for stability and performance improvements, and then a year ago, it was right there. Apple had it. That you could have made stuff. But anyway, all right. Speaking of Apple, iOS 18.3. It's now in.
Wait, can I say one more TikTok thing?
Yeah, please. Yeah. No,
we talked about opportunism and how opportunistic Mark Zuckerberg is. I should have put this in there. Did you see what I posted? From Carrot Weather. So on Saturday, Carrot Weather updated their app so that the little snarky message says, "You're just checking the weather because TikTok is gone." And I thought that was so perfect. It was so good. It just made me happy.
I forget his name, but yes, that developer is on point.
Mr. Carrot. He's doing a good job.
Mr. Carrot. That's not his name. Mr. Carrot. Okay. So I was not on the beta train, Jason. I was not doing the betas. And then I saw iOS 18.3 was in release candidate phase. And I'm like, that's not really a beta. I mean, that's basically the version that comes out to everybody. So I upgraded, as you do.
While you're
And
traveling. Good move.
Literally while I was traveling. I started the update on the train that I took from Orlando to Miami. 18.3, visual intelligence is actually going to be what Apple advertised it to be at DubDub. Basically, that you can point your visual intelligence phone at a dog, and it will tell you the breed of the dog. And you can point it at a concert poster with a date on it, and it will suggest adding that date to your calendar. And I tried it. It does work. You can identify dogs, and you can do the dates. I haven't done plants yet. I thought about going outside to try and identify plants, but I'm in the middle of downtown Miami.
If only you were somewhere close to a biophilic building with lots of plants that you could.
Jason, genius. I'm literally going to step outside and go biophilic identify whatever's around the Apple store. There's a bunch of trees. There's a lot of foliage. So anyway, but yeah, so visual intelligence is going to be better, but some other things changed about Apple Intelligence in 18.3. One, summarized notifications. It's going to be off for news and entertainment apps because it keeps messing up the headlines. And also, those summaries are going to be in italicized text, which when I updated to 18.3, I started getting those italicized text notifications. It looks so weird on the lock screen.
Yeah.
I did not like it. I didn't appreciate it. But it's because those summaries has been in the news, and how you have stated, you keep tweeting, you have images literally in our Notion document of terrible New York Times articles. It's not doing well. It's not summarizing it. But also, finally in 18.3, you're not going to be able to, you'll have to opt out of Apple Intelligence if you want. It's going to be on by default, which is the first time. Because ever since Apple Intelligence was there, you would have to go into the settings and actually enable it. I actually had a friend call me the other day. He literally called me and said, "What is Apple Intelligence? I don't know what it is, and I'm afraid to turn it on." Jason, I literally went all the way back to listen, here's what an LLM is. Here's ChatGPT. I explained the whole thing. And I told him, listen, turn it on even just for the summaries, not notification summaries, like article summaries in Safari. But anyway, you're not going to have to turn it on because it's going to be on by default. You have some strong feelings about this, Jason.
Yeah, as a general rule, don't think that companies should put this sort of thing as a on by default sort of. And I heard John Syracuse talking about eventually these are just going to be features, and I agree. And at that point, they will be just part of the operating system. There won't be an extra tab for do you want to turn this on, do you want to not turn it on. But
because right now, Apple there's a beta tag on it.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're still calling it a beta, and it's bad. These features are bad. They're just not good features right now. I'm trying to think of in the visual intelligence thing. I heard Stephen Hackett yesterday say, you know what else you could do besides pointing your phone at the dog to find out what breed it is? Just ask the guy at the other end of the leash, hey, what kind of dog is that?
Just when you walk up to the tree, just ask the tree, what kind of tree are you? That's all you have to
think that's a slightly different use case.
But it identifies plants too. That's what I'm saying. It now identifies plants. So there you go.
Yeah, and there's a lot of apps that do that, and that's great. But I feel I just think that for the most part, these things they're just not quite ready for mass use, and the fact that Apple's having to turn some of them off. For the example I put in our notes is the New York Times that summarized an article that says the morning of the inauguration, before President Trump was President Trump, it said Trump pardons 5 family members. Which here's the problem with that summary. That's actually not a bonkers possible headline summary.
Sure,
it's just that's not what happened. President Biden had just pardoned 5 family members. It's Trump pardoned 5 family members, and then he was sworn in as the 47th president of the United States. And it's I feel like there's something wrong with that summary. I can't quite put my finger on what it is. Although my favorite summary was when Sam Altman told me that he was proud of me or whatever. It says something that's not what happened.
Wait a minute. I have to show this one on screen because these are X notifications. It says Ben Thompson reposted about Stargate. Sam Altman complimented you. How did it even get that?
Sam Altman. Okay, so this was Sam Altman's reply to Elon Musk about Stargate, because Elon Musk was they don't actually have the money or something like that. And we can talk about that later if we get to it. Sam Altman responded basically saying, you are one of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time to Elon Musk in the chain. But because the word says you, Apple's notification summary is like, well, clearly they're talking. It's like, is new a proper noun? It's like complimented you, not me personally. Like you is the name. That's my daughter, our oldest daughter, when she was a kid, like she was 2 years old, she thought her name was you. If you asked her, what is your name? She'd say, you. And we could not figure out what is wrong with you. And then we realized it's because all we ever say to her is, I love you. You are so cute. Do you want this? Sure. And so she thought her name was you. And apparently Apple Intelligence has the mind of a 2-year-old.
And then you said, you, go to your room.
Yeah.
You. No. Yeah, that's, those summaries are amazing. Anyway, I guess it's good that they stopped the news and entertainment summaries. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, they just shouldn't have shipped they just shouldn't have shipped the notification summaries yet. They're just not. Yeah, and I'm not actually. The problem is, it is not clear. Like some of the replies that I got were from people saying, well, "This will get better. It's fine. Whatever." I don't know that that's true, and I don't think that the people who know a lot more about LLMs are sure that it's actually going to get better. Like it's just a function of the way that they work. It's not clear. Like I wonder if someone at Apple right now is trying to find a way to hard code some parameters that'll say like never show a summary that says, president something, like, you know what I mean? Like there's got to be, because you could move markets and cause national security problems.
Well, I wonder too if one of the issues being that Apple grouping summaries and then summarizing a grouping of summaries, like it groups notifications and then it's summarizing the groups. Like that's an issue. I imagine if it just summarized individual notifications, you would get less confusing wording. But then also, what is the point? Because notifications can't be that long anyway.
Also, what is a headline if it's not a summary of an article, right? Like, and you know what a fun game you can play is? Seriously, listeners, this is actually genuinely a fun game to play. You pull up a news grouping of headlines that it has a notification summary and just tap on it so it shows you all of the things and swipe away like 2 of them and then go back and click show less and it'll go back to a summary and it'll be a different summary. You can just read different notification summaries as you change the group. If you delete something, then that takes it out of it, and it's actually kind of a fun game you can play.
Jason says he doesn't have time to watch half the things I say to watch, but he's over here playing around. Dismissing individual
It's for the work, man. I got to do this for my job.
Yeah, you do it. Yeah, it's for your job. Okay. I actually am going to try that, though. That's kind of interesting. So, anyway, I got 18.3 on here. Also, can I just say, I've talked to a lot of people. People reply on social media like, there's so many bugs still in iOS. Do you ever get this, Jason? And if any of our listeners and viewers get this, I'd love to know. Where autocorrect just like it's not on. Like it's just off. Did it ever happen?
My problem is that it's too much on. It's autocorrecting things that I did not ask for.
I'll be texting someone. I'm literally in the Messages app, and all of a sudden, autocorrect is just not working. And so I have to hyper focus on the letters I'm tapping, because if I just type like I normally type, it's gibberish because autocorrect is not doing it, which is super troublesome because I'm like, am I really not hitting any of these letters? Like, how is autocorrect when it's working that good? But B, why is it not on right now? And I will go into settings and I'll go into keyboard and autocorrect is on. All the settings are fine, but for some reason it's just not working. Screen time has been even more buggy for me and my kids. I don't know about yours, but website access will just get whatever you want. Sometimes it's just
I have a theory that the screen time team is a bunch of 17-year-olds. The entire development team are just teenagers.
It's like the Swift boot camp or whatever. They're like, listen, why don't you guys work on some screen time settings?
It's like asking the inmates to design the security system at the jail, basically.
Jason did not just compare our kids to inmates. Just want to clear that up, okay? I mean, kind of did, but anyway, let's thank our sponsor this week, which is this episode is brought to you by HelloFresh, and I'm excited because I actually have a picture of the meals I made of HelloFresh. I am not a cook. I don't know why.
Disclaimer.
Anyway, I don't cook. Disclaimer: I don't cook, but HelloFresh makes it possible. Listen, with HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip the trip to the grocery store. Jason, it's so cold where Jason's at, he can't even go to the grocery store without literally freezing to death. He has the temperature of a tauntaun? This is a Star Wars joke. It's lukewarm. Anyway, listen, you can count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. I think I messed up that joke. I'm bracing myself for the 1,000.
Also, that's my least favorite scene of any of the Star Wars movies, just to be clear.
It's not. It's kind of gross. Anyway, but HelloFresh, not a tauntaun, is America's #1 meal kit. Also, if you're tired of figuring out what's for dinner night after night, especially on busy weekdays, get dinner done easy thanks to HelloFresh. And it's easy to find and eat well because you have 50 wholesome, hassle-free meals to choose from each week delivered to your door. I'm gonna get my picture of a meal here. I cooked 2 meals so far. I have this is a tortellini with chicken sausage, and they gave me garlic bread. So they gave me a little bread thing, and then the garlic butter, and I followed all the directions. They have the nice little cards, let you know how to do everything. Put it in the toaster oven. The garlic bread was wonderful. Tortellini was great. I don't think I've ever made pasta in my life. And I made pasta for the first time, and it was wonderful. And it's all thanks to HelloFresh. Did you make any HelloFresh things?
We did. We had some Southwestern beef. It was like a pasta. This is going to sound like not as appetizing, but it was like a goulashy type thing. I don't know if that's a good way of calling it, but it's like goulash, but it tasted like a wet burrito. And the thing is, I was very, very sick. And so I wasn't going to, I do most of the cooking in well, that's not a fair thing to say. My wife does a lot of cooking, and she's actually good at it. She doesn't think that she's good at it. But generally, if we want to make something complicated, she'll ask me to do it. I spent time working in restaurants, and so anyway, she'll be like, this is your responsibility to do now. But I couldn't do that because I was sick, and she loved the fact that it was so easy to just follow the card and the recipe. Yeah. And I loved the fact that I couldn't taste anything that day, and yet it even tasted good. Like, it was the first thing I could actually taste that day. It was that good.
Amazing. HelloFresh also will bring your taste back. No, that's not a promise they make. But HelloFresh, I can cook. Anyone can cook. Ratatouille. So get up to 10 free meals and a free high-protein item for life at HelloFresh.com/primary10FM. That link's in the show notes. You can just click it there. 1 item per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. But that's up to 10 free meals. That's up to 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/primary10FM. Thanks to HelloFresh for sponsoring this episode, America's #1 meal kit. I was glad I was able to make something. I proved to my family that I can cook. I can follow directions. You know what I mean? If you can follow directions, you can do it. You can do it.
That's great.
Samsung Unpacked. Neither of us are there. I'm in Miami. You're in freezing in Michigan. But they announced some things. This one I think is just funny. I just want to throw this out there first. This is like the Budget Vision Pro, I guess. Samsung's VR headset. This is Project Muhan, and this is a Samsung's headset. I mean, this looks like the very early renders and concepts of Apple Vision Pro, like 2 years ago. I think Ian Zelbo probably made those for, I forget what it was, 9 to 5 Mac or MacRumors, but this looks hilarious. There's no like videos or like reviews of it because it's not, something that reviewers could use right now, but come on. I mean, come on. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder where they got the inspiration. It's hard to
Command C, Command V. The copy paste is strong here and at Meta. But Samsung also announced their entire Galaxy S25 lineup. The Galaxy S25 Ultra, which is their flagship phone, I watched MKBHD's video on it, and this is the Verge's article I put in the show notes. Really similar to last year's model. There's like an upgraded ultra-wide camera and some slight design changes to make corners less sharp. But even MKBHD was like, this is almost indistinguishable, which is interesting. That pretty minimal upgrades year over year. But they did announce the Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge, and this is Samsung's like hyper thin phone. Now there was no like reviews on this like MKBHD did on the S25 Ultra. I think this will probably be coming soon, but super thin phone. I think this is the year, Jason, of the thin phones.
Yeah, I don't know.
Battery's got to
know
be
why.
half a day on that.
Is that a thing? I don't know. What, Stephen? Why?
I'm curious. I mean, it looks cool. It looks cool that it's that thin, like, sure, but the battery life, man, I don't know. I do want, but this also, I mean, if Samsung's doing this now, I feel like the rumors about an iPhone 17 Air may be a little more legitimate. They might be happening, but I don't know. I don't know if I would go for this. I mean, it can't be like the flagship phone for these companies because it just doesn't have the space for like the same camera systems and things like that. So I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. I just don't know if it makes. It's fine. Like everyone gets all excited about the iPhone 17 Air, whatever. I think like battery, all of it. Just give. I don't want a thin device that I have to stick a MagSafe battery in the back of just to like go to pick up kids from soccer. It just seems like. Yeah. I don't know. Is this a phone that's I got it. It's a phone that's meant to always be plugged in. They're bringing back the landline. You got to have it plugged in all the time for the battery. It actually doesn't have. Well, that's the thing. It doesn't have a battery. It's just got like, it's got a battery to keep the clock going. That's it.
You get always on display with the clock. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when the reviews actually come out about it. I will say I have my. I'm traveling, so I have my whole setup here. I have my Belkin 2-in-1 that I bring with me when I travel, and I think I must have like not had my phone on there. Or something was like preventing it from making like full contact with the charger. And when I woke up this morning, the back of my phone was hot. I think it was hot because I think there was probably like a gap there. It tripped me out a little bit. I'm like, maybe I should plug this thing in. I don't know.
Yeah. I had this experience this is totally unrelated, but you made me think about this. I've been meaning to say this for a while now. Because I got
a confession,
that. Or? No, I got that. What was the car mount MagSafe thing that you suggested? Because I got one of those for Christmas. Sure, there you go. Okay, I got one of those for Christmas, and I have I think it's either like a Moment or something in a different vehicle that doesn't charge; it just clicks. And it seems like in concept that all of these things make sense to just clip them onto the vents, right? It's in a convenient place that you can snap something to. The problem is, it occurs to me that none of those devices were designed in a place like Michigan, where in the winter you have to blast your heat constantly in your car or else you can't drive. And guess what the phone says after about 2 minutes of being in the car?
Overheated.
Charging stopped until it returns to normal temperature. And I'm like, what's wrong with the temperature? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm blasting 80-degree air at the back of this thing. So like, I'm starting to feel like maybe that wasn't the best design choice. And it must have been made by, like, the joke is that no one in Apple ever goes outside when it's raining or when it's cold or whatever, right? So they don't actually design features that for anyone who doesn't live in 65-degree weather year round. I'm thinking that these car accessory people, it's the same thing.
See, in Florida, it's a feature because I have the air conditioning blowing 90% of the time, so it cools the phone down, no matter what. Amazing. And I will say, just a side note, my car, I recently got a different car a few months ago, and with the heated seats, I've never had heated seats before in anything. It's pretty nice. I do like the heated seats.
Do you want to know what the best
thing is? You wear
those
things out.
No, listen, you know what the best thing? Well, first of all, the nice thing about heated seats in an electric car is they're on instantly, right? Like, it's just, you get in the car and it's heat. And my wife makes fun of me, and the kids actually think this is kind of crazy too. The best combination, and I know this is going to sound absurd. I want to, people can leave us a comment.
I'd already
heated
know it's coming.
Seats on with the air conditioning blasting.
I totally get it. No, I totally get it. I mean, it's like, when you want to have a blanket at home, sometimes you lower the temperature a little bit so you could use a blanket.
Yeah.
Like it makes sense. It totally makes sense.
It's amazing.
I don't think that's weird.
It's amazing.
I mean, I think, it's totally fine. I haven't tried that yet. I don't even know how to do that on my. Oh no, I guess you just turn the heated seats on and just crank down the
air conditioning on.
Yeah, I'm doing that. I had a 2011 Kia Soul for like 10 years. Okay, I'm still getting used to it. But anyway, if you're a Netflix subscriber, which still I pay for it, I'm not sure why, but they just hiked their prices up again for all the plans. It now costs $89. No, the top plan I think it was like $23, and now it's $25 or $26, and then all the tiers went up. And it's like, I don't even know if there's outrage anymore. I think people are just like, yeah, whatever. We're just doing it, and I guess it's fun, whatever. I don't know. But you wrote this article about it. Tell me about it.
Well, the thing is, they reported, that they added 19 million subscribers. They're over 300 million subscribers for the first time. They had a record quarter. And they're like, so, you know what we're going to do? Because we're not reporting subscriber numbers anymore after this. This is it. Last time we're going out with a bang, and then we're raising prices. Because for a long time, Netflix's primary measure of success and of growth and performance was adding subscribers. And then they had a great, huge quarter when COVID started. I don't mean that in a morbid way, but people couldn't go to the movies, so they all signed up for Netflix. And then that kind of growth is hard to sustain. So eventually they're like, we're not going to report subscribers anymore. So we have to report something different. And they're going to report primarily revenue and profitability. And so they're just going to keep raising prices. And I think that at some point they're going to be like, they have not reached that point where people are like, this is just not worth it. We've canceled Netflix. And then we resubscribed for a month, and then we canceled it again because it wasn't worth paying for. But I think for the most part, Netflix is just going to keep turning that dial little by little, and they may lose some people, but it's fine because they're not reporting subscriber numbers anymore. So if you lose 1 million or 2 million people, but everyone who stays is paying $2 more, you just made up for it all.
I guess I was wondering, as a company publicly traded like that, how can you not report that number? But I guess they'll still report revenue and profits.
Yeah.
So
Apple doesn't report how many iPhone units they sell. Companies can decide what they want to, but yes, they have to publish their revenue. They have to publish their income statement and their balance sheet, and there's certain things that are required by law. But other than that, they can just be because Apple breaks down its revenue by just these broad categories. But companies, that's not by law that you have to. It's there is a threshold at which a business unit has to be reported separately because of its significance to the bottom line or whatever. That's not a quote. I just made that all up. But anyway, they don't have to report subscribers. It's just the only reason here's a reason why people were reporting subscriber growth. And this is why most of the other streaming services report it. Because it's a number that's going up. And the reality is none of them were making money. So those numbers look bad. So you're not going to be like, we lost $3.2 billion this quarter. Instead, you're going to be like, we are not yet profitable, but we continue adding subscribers at a 17% rate or whatever. That sounds good. And people are like, great. Eventually, you'll figure out how to make money. And it turns out that so far, Netflix is basically the only one that figured out how to make money off of subscribers.
Right. And I did see, apparently the Tyson-Paul fight did actually garner a number of new subscribers to the platform, which I think makes sense. I'm curious if they do more sports, live sports, if that will garner it. I was listening to the Verge cast where David Pierce was talking about sports streaming packages, and I forget who was on the show with him, but basically if you had wanted to watch every NFL game this season, you had to have paid $800 in streaming costs for all the different services because the games are so fractured. So CBS and some on Fox, and Netflix had 2 of them on Christmas Day, and it's just we are worse now than we were with cable.
100%.
People say oh, we're getting back to the cable days. No, we're way past that. This is
we're way worse than the cable days. It's cheaper to just go in person to every NFL game. It would just make it be easier.
It's cheaper to go to the Super Bowl than pay for all the football streaming games. That's probably not true, but it's so weird. And I'm looking at all my streaming services because I have everything on my Apple Card. I don't know how you do this, but the Apple Card will actually do a good job of telling you what a recurring charge is, and so you can see all the subscription services in one place. The Apple Card just gives that to you as a filtered search, and I'm like, I don't want to pay for Netflix anymore. I really don't watch anything on there. I just haven't finished The Crown yet, and I've been saying that for over a year. And I'm like, if I could just buy it on Blu-ray, I will rip them and watch it on Plex. I would rather do that, but I don't think I get the last season. So
you know what you could do? You know what you could do? You could go into your Netflix account.
Yes.
And there's a button, and it just says cancel membership. And you could click it. It takes 2 clicks. I wrote an article about this, by the way, Steven. And then just guess what? They won't bill your card anymore. And then at some point you'll sit down in the future and you'll be like, I really want to watch The Crown. You just open your account again. You go back to that button and you click resubscribe and you watch The Crown. And then when you're done, you click cancel again. You are not obligated to keep paying for Netflix until you decide to finish The Crown. This is the worst sunk cost fallacy I've ever seen someone go through.
That's pretty deep. Well, I will sometimes on a Friday, we'll open the app to see, is there anything here that I want to watch? And then after 20 minutes of scrolling, I think, no, there's not anything I want to watch.
I want to watch that Back to Work. Is that what it's called? Is that the Cameron Diaz, Jamie Foxx movie?
Maybe. Oh, you know what? We did use it the other day for Nate
Back in
Bargatze.
Action,
Got a new
sorry.
special. Oh, Back in Action.
Gotcha.
Nate Bargatze's on Netflix. Those are I like his specials. Anyway,
Is that the
All right, we have
chalk
one last
artist
article.
guy who paints on the sidewalk? Nate? Oh, that's
Oh, no,
Bargatze.
that's
Never mind. Just kidding.
that's Nathan's Hot Dogs. Hey, Nate. He's at Disney. He did a 3D Hulk the other day. It was pretty amazing.
He just sent us a text message, actually. But anyway,
Why is he? He knows we record now. So
he wants us to
sending
answer
text
live on
messages.
air. He'll have to stay tuned for the bonus episode.
He's asking about AirPod Pro sizes. Should we? No. Okay, never mind. We'll answer that later. One last thing before we get to our personal tech segment, which is this iPad mini that's powering the hotel room I'm in. You put this article in here, so I'll let you get in trouble instead of me. But what is this? This is what, the Kiss the Ring segment? Is that the kissing? Is that what this
Okay,
is?
so the short background on this is Elon Musk, Sam Altman used to be buds. They sort of co-founded OpenAI way back in the day.
Yeah.
Elon Musk left. He now has his own XAI, I think is what it's called. Yep. And he's trying to turn Twitter/X into this, whatever. It doesn't, that part's not as interesting, but the guys used to get along. They don't get along. Elon Musk is actively suing Sam Altman right now. And Elon Musk also, of note, gave $250 million to get President Trump reelected, and used his platform at every opportunity to get President Trump reelected. And it turns out that on his first day as President Trump announces a massive initiative called Stargate, which is an investment over, I don't know what the time period is, but $500 billion to build AI infrastructure here in the United States. This is sort of related to OpenAI and Microsoft sort of drifting apart. OpenAI is trying to build up their own AI infrastructure, and Trump seeing, a good opportunity to take credit for something that he didn't have a lot to do with. Again, I'm not bashing him. I'm just simply saying this has been in works for a little while and had nothing to do with him. They announced it, and Elon Musk's not happy. Elon Musk, who notably has a West Wing office and email address, is really not happy that his not good friend Sam Altman is right in the mix of this. And so they've been going back and forth online about a little bit of fighting over who gets to be BFFs with the new administration the most. And I can understand if you're Elon Musk. Like, Elon Musk has put a lot of effort into becoming Trump's good friend, right? And I imagine that he is expecting something, because he's also very transactional. And I don't think that what he was expecting would be that his biggest competitor would be getting the first big governmental tech announcement, and so he's not very happy about it, because if you think about it, like most of Musk's businesses depend either on a lack of government regulation or directly on government contracts, right? So SpaceX entirely dependent on government contracts. Also, one of the most successful stories of the last couple generations in terms of what they've been able to do. Great. So that's not knocking the company, but Tesla became a thing mostly because of EV tax credits and that kind of thing. And so he's feeling a little bit sour.
Interesting. Yeah, this is the interesting. We'll put this TechCrunch article in the show notes. There's a back and forth between Elon and Sam. I have one question though. Okay. Whenever Sam Altman tweets, it's all lowercase. He doesn't even capitalize the beginning of his sentences. Mm-hmm. Do you think he has disabled autocorrect or auto capitalization so he can do this? Or does he literally delete the first capital letter every time he types so he can have a lowercase? What do you think?
Well, I think he definitely has it, because my teenagers have it turned off. They have teenagers don't use capitalization at all. Do you
what?
Do your teenagers? Yeah. My kids literally have it turned off because they do not want to use capitalization. And so
they don't want to use capitalization.
No, they don't want to. It's not cool.
Why?
To use capital letters. I don't know.
It's not cool.
I don't make these rules. I'm just explaining to you.
Wait a minute. Is it Skibbity Ohio Riz to use capital letters?
I don't even know what you said.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I even said that on air.
I thought for a second that you had a stroke. I don't know.
Wait a minute. Why is it uncool to use capital letters?
I am a writer. I'm not saying it's uncool to use capital letters. I'm a big fan of grammar and punctuation in all of its forms. I'm
You're
just
literally
saying.
a writer. What? I don't understand, Jason.
But there have been times when my daughter will hand me her phone because, say, she wanted to like reach out to a college coach or something like that, and she's like, "Here, would you just help me?" And I'll like try to type something, and I'm like, "What is wrong with your phone? Why won't it? Why does it not understand that if there's a period, the next letter should be capitalized?" She's like, "Yeah, I turned that off." I'm like, "Well, turn it on, or you're never going to college."
You turn it on.
Hey, you. It's the same one, 100%.
Well, but what? But Sam Altman is not a teenager. I don't understand.
Okay, that's
why.
a fair point. I don't know. I think he's explained it at some point. I just don't have the energy to find out.
That's weird. Anyway, yeah, watching these billionaires go tit for tat on social media. We're in 2025.
I think they think it feels casual and hip.
Casual and hip. Okay. Anyway, personal tech. Oh, you know what? Well, no, never mind. I was gonna say what you thought of the new redesigned Tesla Model Y, but I feel like that's gonna get a wave of comments no matter what you say.
We can say that. We can talk about that another time. I'm happy to.
Okay. Have you seen it? Did you see the new design?
Yeah, and I don't mind comments. It's just you just have to learn.
Oh no, I know that. I know that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm gonna talk about my hotel room. So I'm staying at this. I'm staying at this. I think it's called a Citizen.
Wait, is this our personal tech section? I just want to be clear.
Personal tech.
Okay,
personal
we're in personal tech. Great.
Yeah. What, you got something for personal tech?
No. I want to make sure that was the section that we're in. We're almost done.
Yeah, chapter marker. Yeah, chapter marker.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm in this hotel, and like, it's a very bizarre room. It's like very narrow. I almost feel like I'm in like a ship hull, but it's nice. It's a nice room.
Wait a second. What word did you just say?
A ship hull, like HULL.
Okay, super not what it sounded like you said, but that's okay.
Oh, well, I got a little stuffy nose, so I don't know what it sounded like on your end.
Except for Steven doesn't usually say bad words is the only reason I didn't think he said he was in an asshole. But
Hull. Anyway, so I walked in this room, and there's an iPad Mini. This is an iPad Mini. What?
Like an actual iPad
maybe?
Mini. Ooh, you can't even update that anymore, and I know this because my wife has one, and it won't update.
It's a home button iPad Mini with Lightning. It feels so much larger than the iPad Mini I have at home because, it has the chin and the forehead or whatever. But this is how you control the entire room. Like because when I first walked in, it was a little warm, as you do. You turn down the air, and I was looking for the thermostat on the wall. No. You do it here on the iPad. But also, it's kind of annoying because you can't see the temperature. It just has a warm and cool slider. And even when you slide that, it doesn't show you a temperature. It's just like, yeah, it'll get cooler. It's cooling down right now. Like, yeah, it can get warmer, but like it doesn't give you a temperature, which I feel like maybe it's like a battery percentage thing. I don't know.
Steven, that is unacceptable behavior by this hotel.
I didn't like that. You could turn the TV on and off from the iPad. That's like a little toggle at the top. So
and it tells you if it's on or off. So see, that's to give you some indication. It probably has a battery percentage indicator too, but they will not tell you what temperature it is.
It doesn't tell you the temperature. It also has smart lights, so you can literally like change the colors of the lights in the bathroom. That's the only place where there's colored lighting. So if you want your bathroom to be purple or blue, you could do that.
It's definitely where you need the colored lighting is in the bathroom. Yep.
Right. You can turn the whole lights on or off. And even you can raise and lower curtains. They have blackout blinds that you can raise and lower. And they also have like a day curtain. You can do all of this from the iPad. This is not an ad for the hotel. I wouldn't even suggest staying here. But you order your cleaning. Cleaning services from the iPad. Anyway, I'm all about, as our listeners and viewers probably know, I'm all about the smart home. I think I like dumb hotel rooms. I think I like dumb rooms that just have light switches and a thermostat. And also, it came with this like weird doll. I'm not going to go back and grab it, but it came with like this like
weird doll.
Oh, I guess I have to grab it now. Hold on.
Steven's staying in a hostel, actually.
I don't know.
It's an Airbnb. He's just camping out in somebody's spare bedroom.
I chose to stay here because it's the closest to the Apple store. It's like super close. But anyway, this thing was on the bed when I got here. I don't know what it is.
Do you think the hotel owns that, or do you think that just got accidentally left behind by whoever rented that room before you?
No. There's one of these by the front desk, and it has like a little story behind it. I have not read it, but it's a weird dog because it has no nose or mouth. It's just two black dots for eyes. I guess a red hair type thing. Anyway, I forgot to take this off the bed last night when I got into bed, and so I just kicked it off, and it's been laying on the floor ever since. But yeah, this was staring at me when I walked in this hotel room. I don't know what this is.
But you couldn't see it because there's no light switches, so you had no idea how to turn on the lights in the room.
I don't understand. Anyway, I'll try to make that the chapter art for those listening in the podcast apps. But anyway, smart hotel room. I don't think I prefer it. I like lowering the curtains. That's about it. But anyway, smartest hotel I've ever been in. It's also I don't know. I'll have to send you a picture. It's a weird place. But the reason I was here was because I was visiting an Apple store. And I want to talk about that in the bonus episode because it was an interesting experience. I have two things. I'm going to tease it for the bonus episode. One, for this store opening in Miami. I guess they normally give totes for new store openings. Is it like a little bag or something?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever gotten one of those?
Not at a new store opening, no.
Well, this one, they're doing picnic blankets. This is a picnic blanket. And,
I'm going to tell you right now, that thing is useful. I have one that says WWDC on it, and we've actually used it lots of times.
Well, I'm excited. I'm going to open it at home with my family. But also, this was exciting for me. I know this is not a big deal maybe for other people, but first time I got an Apple Media badge. And it's really fun. It's a nice media badge, too. Like, it's nice, colorful. This is like indented, embossed. I don't know what the right word is for it, but like it's textured. You have a bunch of them, right? You probably have like a collection of these.
I got one right here from WWDC, and then I have about
that has your name on it, though, right?
There. No, they don't have your names. None of them have names.
Oh, that one doesn't have your name? Oh,
none of the Apple ones have your names.
Oh, okay. Then, well, anyway, but I will treasure that. It was really fun. But anyway, I want to talk about the behind the scenes experience because it was kind of funny. And so we're going to do that in the bonus episode. So here's what you do. You go to primarytech.fm, click bonus episodes, and you can support the show. You get the whole back catalog of bonus episodes, plus you get an ad-free version of the show. You can also support us on Apple Podcasts, but there you don't get chapters. Not my fault. That's Apple. You can also watch the show at youtube.com/@primarytechshow. That link's in the show notes as well. You can see the bizarre doll that is in my hotel room, and you can also just watch all the past episodes there. And if you want, you can leave us a 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts. We're a 5-star show still, almost 300 ratings, and so we'd love to cross that 300 mark soon. So if you haven't yet, we'd appreciate that as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.